Hey everybody, BJ and Cooking Things, I'm back. I told y'all I was going to do some collard greens. And like I said, I told you in the beginning there's going to be 4 stages. I don't know how you do collards, but here's the way we do collards. The way I was taught to do collards. They already broke them off the collard stalk. They already been broke. But what I do next, I look each leaf. This is called looking collards. I look at each leaf, make sure there's no bugs on them, no worms, and nothing on the back of the leaf. And if I find what I want to show you, I'll show it to you. And it's little teeny tiny. It looks like a dark gray to a black spot. It's real small, about the size of a pin needle, but you'll see it all over the leaf, and it's usually underneath the leaf. Those are lice eggs. And the bug lice will lay these eggs on their collard. And the spring of the year, the collard has not been cut down. These insects will come out. And that's the reason I look the front and the back of every leaf before I wash my collards. This is the first thing we do to our collards. We take them off the stalk. We look at them and make sure there's no bugs on them. And like I said, and then let me show you this. See if I can give you an example. I know I won't find any, but this collard here is kind of large. Well, underneath this collard here, the very corner of it, on the back, sometime a bug will lay an egg in this corner, and it'll be in there wrapped up like a cocoon. Hey, what you call it? Cocoon. It'll be wrapped up like that. It looks like something like a spider web might have wrapped it up, but it isn't. It's the adult bug, whatever it might have been, laid the egg there for it to hatch, and it'll be underneath this corner here. A lot of times the flap will be like this, and if you don't pull it back, you won't see it. And it don't wash off with water, people. You will take these collards, and if you don't look them first, look for bugs, bug bites, and worms, and take it out. If you cut these collards up first, you go cut all that up in your greens. And those little black spots I was telling you would be on the back of the collard, lice eggs. You cannot get them off with water. Water will not wash them off. Soaking them in water with vinegar or baking soda, anything you want to put on it, will not get those little eggs off, because they are stuck there until they hatch the spring of the year. This is the reason you look your collards before you cut them up. And this is, like I said, this is the first thing I do. And then I'll take and I hold my collards like this. I don't take all the stem out, but I cut some of the stem out because I don't like all that stem, because sometimes the stem be bitter. And I put it in a bag to throw away. Then my good collards I just lay to the side. And I already look, because what I do next, I'll show you. And I do every one of them like this. I'll look at each collard, make sure I don't see anything on it. If you see brown spots on the leaves, take them off, throw them away. If you see something that look like a bug's bit it, throw it away. And like I said, I take it then and I go to each side, bend it over, and just like this, I de-stem it. Like I said, I don't take all the stem out. There's still stem on there, unless you want stem. Now, some people like their stems on their collards. I don't. I don't care for stem on my collard. Not a big stem, no way. And you know, there are 2 different types of collards. These are winter collards. These collards here, now see that stem? I don't even cut it out because it's not that big. But winter collards, no matter how cold it gets, how much snow it gets on it, or whatever, these collards don't mess up. They don't get weather burnt. But if these were summer collards and they happen to still survive till the winter gets here, the weather will kill these, because they can't take the cold air and the snow and the sleet, and especially the frost. The first good frost we get, if they're summer collard, they will die. They'll be burnt. So a lot of people didn't know that. There are two types of collards, a winter collard and a summer collard. And when the end of the summer is when you're supposed to put your winter collards, start planting them. And I have planted collards and have collards to all the way to the spring of the next year. But like I said, you've got to plant the right kind. And don't let nobody fool you when you go get your collards to plant. You ask them, what kind of collards is these? These winter collards or these spring collards? Some people say, oh, they're winter collards. Read it. Read it for yourself, because if they're not winter collards, the winter will definitely kill them. He had me wrong, didn't he?
No.
Yeah, I was just talking to my granddaughter. I didn't know she was over there adjusting.
I just wanted your face in it more.
The film. And see this little black spot right here on it, y'all? It's on the stem. I don't know what that is. If I can't wipe it off, now I wipe that off. If I can't wipe it off, the black's gone now. It was on the stem. And then there's a little brown spot on the back. If I can't wipe it off with my hand, I'll take my knife and cut that off. And this is, like I say, this is the purpose of looking at collards. Anything that you look on your collards that don't look right to you, take it out. But this is the reason I don't eat everybody's greens, because everybody don't know what they're looking for. Everybody don't know. Well, I mean, if you've been trained to do one way, you've been trained to do that way. But I will tell you this. I have seen some collards that had those lice eggs on the back of them, and they were so bad. There's no way in the world you could get them off. You'd have to throw that whole leaf out. The whole leaf of collard has to be thrown away. And all that comes from where you got them. The farmer didn't put the right kind of poison chemical on them to kill that bug. And the bug just got on there and laid its next babies for the spring of the year. And if you cut them collards up before you look them, or you wash them, you are cutting up eggs of a bug and you eating it. And a lot of old people used to say, well, that'll give you extra protein. Nah, if you're like me, and I'm going to show you again, see how big that stem is? I don't cut all that out. I just cut part of that out and just like that. But old people would say, well, you'll get extra protein if you get them bugs to eat. No, I don't want the bugs. I don't want the parasites in my body. We got enough of germs to have to try to fight off, besides for fighting off parasites. Now, did this make sense to y'all? Because I've seen people, they say, well, I'm cooking me some collard greens today, boy. Had me some greens. Okay. You got to ask him, well, how do you do your collards? What's the first thing you do to them? Some people say, well, the first thing I do to them, I just cut my collards up. Whoa, wait a minute. You don't look at them? You don't see if there's anything on them? No bug bites and no worms or nothing? No, I cut them up and then I wash them. How can you clean it after you wash your collards and cut them up? There's no way you can clean it. And like I said, if you ever run into some lice on the back of your collards, I don't care what you put on it. Them lice going to be there. And I throw that away. You see that brown spot right there? That's probably towards the bottom of the leaf. I don't throw the whole leaf away. I just pull it off and throw it out. And all that's come from is the bottom. It's the bottom leaf, and that one there too. Brown spot right here. I just throw that. I just pull it off. You don't have to throw the whole leaf away. But this is what I was talking about. You see how that collard's folded up right here in that corner? Well, this is where an insect will lay its baby. And it'll be wrapped up. And then it'll hatch in the summer. And if you don't open it up and you just look at it, you don't open that up in the back and see, or in the front and see that something's under it, you just cook that up to eat. And now and go back to what I said again. That's the reason a lot of people won't eat everybody's greens. I can't. And I do my mustard the same way, y'all. I do my turnip greens the same way. I look at every leaf before I cook it. I can't help it. I was raised that way. Because I've seen some things on greens that I know no matter what you do, how well you clean it, it don't get it. But I'm going to finish doing this. And I'll come back. But no, I won't come back. I'll show you the next step. Now what I do to my collards after this. because I don't have them all look and de-stem. Michael did some of them earlier. And I told him, you know, I just go over them to show y'all how I do them. So you see, I'm stacking the ones I've already looked over here to the side. Yeah, I do all my vegetables like this. When I cut a cabbage up, I pull them leaves off that cabbage. I look at them cabbage leaves. I look all the way down in that cabbage and see what I can find in there, because you'll be surprised when you pull them leaves off that cabbage and see what's in there, especially if that cabbage you got it out at your garden. Because bugs and worms will go inside that cabbage and it'll tunnel itself all the way down in that cabbage. And if you don't look at, you be cooked that bug in there. And believe me, I have bought people's food at these country restaurants, and they say, oh, I got some greens. I cooked some greens, and weren't thinking, and have been in there and seen the bugs on top of the greens and on their bar, their buffet bar. Yeah, I've seen that a couple of times. And when I see that, I'm not eating anything on the bar. That's just like a person buying chicken, y'all, out the grocery store. Take that chicken out the pack, start cooking it. Oh no, I can't do it. Can't do it. For the simple reason, chicken carries salmonella, right? And I look at all the hands that's been on that chicken while that chicken was processing. You see that hole right there? A little teeny hole. There's three of them right there. That looks like a bug might have bit that. So what I'll do is I'll go all the way there and pull all of that out and break it out. And it might not. It might not have been a bug. And that bottom leaf right there, brown. There's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that except for that's where it was on the bottom of the collards. But I don't like to cook them. And that's brown stem. Just cut all the way across. Throw it out. A lot of times I throw away a lot more collards than I bought. That I'm getting to eat, but that's fine too. But that's the reason I buy more. People say, why do you buy so many heads of collards? I never buy less than 2 heads of collards. And I know we might not eat them. That's not the point of it. I don't know how them collards look. But usually if I go to get collards and from a person and they grow, in the field, when I go out to their collard patch, I usually look at their collards. I'll take my hand and lift them collards up and look upon that leaf. Especially the bottom, towards the bottom of the leaf. So I'll look under the leaf of collards, not on top. Because most of the stuff that you will find on the collards will be under that collard. Under this collard, the back part of the leaf. That's where you will find most of the stuff on the collard. And towards the very bottom of the collard leaf, around the bottom, that's where you will find most of the problems on your collards. The more you go up the leaf, the lesser things you will find.
Didn't you one time grow collards at your house there?
Yes, I used to grow all my collards.
Tell them about how you did that. You kept the bugs from getting on there and stuff.
Like I told, towards the end of summer, I'd always go to the hardware store. And back then I lived in a place called Red Springs. And it was Brown's Hardware. He always had winter collards. Like I said, you have to read the label, what it says. You don't buy summer collards to plant in the winter. And I always bought my collard, the plant. If this collard was about this high and over half of it was stem at the bottom, I would plant that over half that collard in the dirt. I would plant just as much of that stem inside as I could. That's how deep I would plant the collard down. Because anytime, even with tomatoes, the more stem you put in the dirt, the better it's going to grow. Well, when my collards started coming up real good and started looking good, I always started dusting them. And what I mean dust, I use 7 dust. You go to the store and you ask for some 7 dust. You can put it on your collard, any of vegetables really, and it kills all the bugs and stuff on them. Well, you have to do that you have to do it every time you go out there and you see bugs might be eating something. You better put some 7 dust on it. And before it starts getting cold, you better go put 7 dust on it again. Because like I said, you get these bugs and worms that'll go on your collards and lay their eggs. That's where their eggs will be the whole winter until the spring of the year, and they'll hatch. And when I planted my collards, y'all, I never cut down a whole head of collards. Yes, and that's what you call, when you go get collards, that whole big bush is a head. It's not called a bushel, it's a head of collards. Well, when I was had my farm and people wanted collards for me, I never sold any, y'all. I gave people collards. I didn't sell collards. I raised them just for my family, my husband's family, or anybody else that wanted collards. I would go with them to my garden, and I would tell them how to do my collards. I didn't take a knife and cut them down. I would let them go to the collard, and like this collard would be like this. You know, collard look like this. Well, I'd have them to break down the leaves, break the leaves off in between the collards, and get as many as they wanted to eat. But they could not cut my whole head of collards down, because the spring of the year, what's going to happen, if you still got that stalk living, in between them leaves, what's going to grow is going to be new collards. And that's called the baby collards is going to be coming out. Well, if you never had collard sprouts, what old people call collard sprouts, that's the new baby collard that is coming back out in the spring of the year off them old collards that you had and had, you know, that survived the whole winter. Well, you take them baby sprouts, and they might, some of them might be about this, some of them probably be this length, and when it look like a collard. When you take that off the stalk, you do it like I'm doing it. You look at it, make sure there's nothing on it. And you don't have to do anything to that. Wash it. You don't even have to cut it up, because it's real small and real tender. And you just drop that off in a pot with some grease, and you got some good eating. And now here's what I'm going to show y'all. This is what I'm going to show you. I found one lice, y'all. You see that little spot right there? That's an egg. That's a lice egg. But usually, the man we got this collards from, he undoubtedly had kept his collards up, and he put poison on them and killed these bugs, because that's only one. But if he had not done that, this whole leaf would be just these spots here all over it. And see, I don't try to pick it off. I'll just tear all the way around that, because I don't want that. It's hard to get that egg off, because it be stuck to the collard, and it'll leave a spot anyway. Once you remove it, you'll see where that egg was laying. So what I do is tear the whole thing off. But if this whole leaf would have been like that, infested with those spots on it, that egg, I would throw that whole leaf out. But that's what I wanted to show y'all. I'm glad I seen one, at least one. And that's called a lice egg. Well, that's what my grandma told me, and I know it's an egg, because it's stuck to the collard. The lice that laid it there, it's got its natural enzyme from its body that make it stick. And I'm not no scientist, so I don't know the real terminology for how it makes it stick, but I know it sticks to the collard. And then that egg will hatch the spring of the year. You have them lice will come out of that egg. And I don't, like I said, I don't want to eat them. We all, if you check your bodies, and they're telling how many parasites we've got in us anyway. I don't know about y'all, but when I was coming up, my grandma would always give us, she called herself clean us out. And I know if you know anything about this, you'll know what I'm talking about. Once a year, old people would always give their children things to take. A lot of times it was mineral oil, and you can buy mineral oil now. You still can. She would give us mineral oil in a tablespoon, but she would put sugar on top of the mineral oil once she poured the mineral oil in that spoon, and she would give it to each one of us, and that was to clean us out. And she would tell us, if you had a worm in your body, it would suffocate that worm, because that worm could not live in your stomach and breathe through that baby oil. People, let me tell you something. This is a true fact. I seen it work. Because there was a family member, it was in my family. Every year, this one individual had worms all the time. All the time. And we were kids coming up. And every time they took this mineral oil, literally, the worms would come out of them so bad, they would try to come out their nose and their mouth. And they'd be white worms, y'all. But they'd end up going to the doctor too. Plus, they'd take that remedy. But they'd still end up going to the doctor because there would be so many in them. And then, in the summertime, when the summer started real good, back then you could go to the drugstore and get what they call sulfur. You could buy the tablets, or you could buy the powder. When my grandma would get it, she'd mix it up in something to drink. Kool-Aid. Most of the time it'd be Kool-Aid. And what we called Kool-Aid back then, y'all, was pretty water. She'd mix it up in that Kool-Aid, and we had to drink it. Now you see that brown right there? That's all the way through the collar. See it? It's nothing bad wrong with it. That's just coming from the weather. But what I do, I tear every bit of that out, because I just don't like the looks of it. But anyway, my grandmama would take that sulfur, and she would mix it up with Kool-Aid, and every one of us had to drink that sulfur. And that cleaned your blood out. It literally would clean your blood out. And how I knew that? During the summer months, I would have sores on my legs. And right to this day, you can look on my legs and tell where I used to have sores. Well, the doctor said it was called impetigo. You can understand what I'm saying. And all it meant was sores. And they would fest up and have pus in them. I had it in the summertime. My sister that was next to me, a year and a half older than me, she'd always have it in the winter. Well, my grandmother would carry us to the doctor, and the doctor was giving us shots, penicillin shots to take, and it would dry them up. But she started giving us sulfur in the summertime, and she gave my sister that in the winter. And do you know, I wouldn't even have to go to the doctor for those sores on my legs. That sulfur would clean all that poison and stuff out my blood. But one thing I did notice, and she noticed too, if I ate tomatoes out the garden, any tomato, in the summer months, I would break out with those sores on my legs. Y'all, and they would get bad. I mean, they would be real big. Some of them would be big and had pus on them, in them. And then my legs would hurt so bad sometimes I couldn't hardly walk. But that was just infection that had got into the blood. And it happened on me for up until, well, I probably was 13 years old. It stopped doing it. And my sister the same way. She quit having it too. But now, believe it or not, you can't go to the drugstore and buy sulfur to take. You can't buy the powder, nor you can't buy the tablet. And you can still get medication with sulfur in it. But guess how you get it, y'all? You get it by the doctor writing you a prescription for sulfur, with a medication with sulfur in it. That shows right there that sulfur worked back then. And that was in the 60s. I took that medication in the 60s and it worked. But you, like I said, you can't do it now. You cannot buy that stuff now. And that's what makes me mad. I mean, stuff that would work for us back then, they took all the stuff off the market just to keep you going back and forth to the drugstore. That's all it is. It was a gimmick for them to make money. These pharmaceutical places to sell their medication. But that's what I do to them now. But next thing I do, y'all, might even follow me. And you hold it. You're gonna unplug it. Take it off the charger. And next thing I do, y'all, I come over here to my kitchen and I clean everything down. I started cleaning, and then I stopped because I wanted you to see what I do. I clean everything down. Because this is where I'm going to wash my collards, y'all. I wash the whole thing out with detergent. This is my little toothbrush I always keep in my kitchen. And y'all know this is my pot, orange skillet scrubber. That's what I clean my skillets with. I don't use metal on my skillets. But this is what you do next. This is where, if it's in the summertime, you know, I clean my greens on the outside in 5-gallon buckets. But this is winter and I don't want to stand out there in the cold. Strainers out. And this is the hardest part, y'all. You might think cutting them up is hard, but no. The hardest part of doing collards is washing them. Because you've got to wash these collards and wash them until you don't see anything in your water. Or, I'll show you what I'm talking about when I do the first. I'm not going to keep y'all on here the whole time. I wash them. I'll bring you back when I get to the next step. But these are the first 2 steps of things what I do when it comes to my collards. I'm just showing you the first 2 steps. And then when I get these 2, I'll come back and show you the last 2 steps that what I do next when I'm cutting them up and when I start cooking them. Yeah, like I said, I just don't eat people's greens, y'all. Especially when they say I'll cut mine up first. Oh no. You eat all your greens you want. Barbara don't want none. And I thank you. I thank everybody that subscribed. I'm moving on up. I almost hit the 400 limit. I'm going for 1,000, y'all, because I need that 1,000. And I'm almost at 400 now. In just the last few days, I've moved up that much. And I really appreciate it. And if I don't come back, I thought when I cooked my homemade soup, I thought I told everybody I'd show them with the finished product. But one lady, and I'm so sorry, I want to apologize to you. She said she didn't see where I came back because I told them if I put anything in it extra, I would show you or tell you about it. But the last thing I remember, I was telling y'all I was going to put, it was a can that had nothing in it but tomatoes, okra, and corn. Well, I put that in it at the very end. That was the last thing I put in it. And then I put an extra can of tomatoes because it didn't have enough tomatoes in it. And that's all I put in my homemade soup. I didn't put anything else in it besides that last thing of tomatoes and the can that had the okras and tomatoes in it. Because, like I said, I'm going to put them in there last so the okras wouldn't cook all the pieces. And yeah, I clean this up too next because it gets grease on it. And I don't want that grease to come off. See that black stuff? I don't want all that to come on my greens. Oh, no. And I'll wash them in this side and put them in this side. I did have 2 strainers, but they all tore, they came apart, and I got to go get me some that would hold the water in my sink. I got to go get another one. This one here is about headed too. Just about gone. But I can't stress it, y'all, enough. You got to be clean. It's just like chitlins, man. You got to be clean when you're cooking vegetables and chitlins. Oh, you don't know what you're doing. You eating some filth. I can't eat it. Next thing you know, over the years, you could be sick. I can't do it. Yeah, and I clean them. I put them in water. I don't have them real cold, but I want it to be cool. I don't want them to be hot because that hot water will make them wrinkle up. You still want your collards to stay kind of firm. And just when you're rinsing it, run your hand across and make sure you don't feel anything else on the inside. If you do, wash it again. And then this is the next thing I do, y'all.
These collards are pretty good, y'all. When she get done cooking them and get all her preps done, they're pretty good. Believe it or not, I had never had no collards like that though, because I used to eat the collards like she was talking about
Excuse me,
most
y'all.
of my life. But when I ate her collards,
people cut them up before they wash them. I can't eat them. Oh, I can't eat
and
them.
I'm telling y'all, if y'all try this, it's unbelievable. I'm telling you this. Well, I'm surely from the country down there, and I know that the way they used to do collards, me coming up.
Maybe you want to try them. You can just tell the truth about it. They didn't clean them like I clean them.
No, they didn't.
They probably took them off the stalk, cut them up, then wash them. Didn't look nothing.
Well, a lot of times what they would do is they cut them off the stalk, leave a lot of the stalk on there.
I'm not eating that.
Some people would put them in the washing machine. Some people would wash them with their hands, buckets. Some people put them in the sink with salt.
Well, I do that too if I think they're dirty, but
that's all they would do though.
But I don't soak my collards with baking soda, salt, vinegar, and dish detergent, none of that. Now, if I think these collards have not been poisoned enough, or I see stuff on them that I need to get something off with, I will wash them with something else. Like I have washed my collards with dish detergent. I have put them in here and let them soak with vinegar. These I don't have to, because I know where we got them, and the man we get our collards from, we've been getting collards from them ever since 2005.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. And I know how he does his collards. And all you do is just like this, y'all. You take each leaf, put it in that water. After you rain up and down with your hands, I'll take my hands and rub my leaves. Make sure there's nothing on it, dirt and all. I didn't see anything stuck on these. Just a few leaves had some dirty spots on them, and I got it off mostly with my fingers. Just do it like this. Like I said, I don't soak mine. You can. And no, I don't say I'm the cleanest person in the world. And I'm not claiming to be the cleanest person in the world, because there are a lot of people that I know cleaner than I am. But I tell you what, my food ain't going to make you sick. Nah. You ain't getting nothing from me. Because I know for a fact what food will do to you. Food poisoning will kill you. I'll show you how I do these here, and then I'll let you go, because it's going to take a little bit of time just to wash them. And then I'll be back in a few minutes after I do this one to show you how we cut them up. And I might video Michael cutting them up, and then again I might cut them up. I don't know, because either one of us can cut them up the same way. And if you want to, leave a comment or video yourself and show me how you do your greens. I'd be interested. You know, it's interesting to me to see how other people do stuff. Just like there's recipes I got for the soup. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna try some of those things that some of my subscribers told me they put in their soup and their homemade burgers. I'm gonna try it. I like that. Everybody, you know, if you're like I am, you like to try things that's different. And you can't sue everybody on the internet. I don't care how much you try. But I'm here just to show you how I do things. And I've been doing this all my life, because this is the way I was taught to do it. And I'm pretty sure that my grandma was taught the same way by her mama. But they didn't have water in their house like we do. They had to go outside to a pump and pump it by hand and put it into metal buckets in the wintertime and it ice outside. And like I was telling y'all before, I remember when I was a little girl, my job was to go and prime the pump some morning. And we'd have to carry what they call fat lighter, which was a light wood that would start fires real good. That's how you start them. See that spot there I miss, y'all? That's when I look them again. And all that, nothing wrong with that, y'all. All it is just where the welder has turned the collar a different color. But I don't like the way it looks, so I don't cook it. I take it off. I don't like it. Yeah, I do the same thing again. I'll be looking what I'm washing. Make sure I didn't leave anything. But anyway, I was telling you about how when I was a little girl, I used to have to go out and prime the pump. We all had different jobs we had to do. And I've went out a many times with a lighter and a piece of paper. Somewhere it matches to light that lighted up. And the pump was a hand pump, but where the water came out was a metal rod that went down in the dirt. That's how the water came out, that metal pipe. Well, that pipe would be froze all the way down in that dirt, all the way to the bottom. We would have to take that lighter, light it up, and take that lighter and go up and down that pipe just like that on every side with that lighter and it burning to make it unthaw. And then when it unthaw, you'll hear it when it unthaw. The water would just run. Then you could prime the pump. I've had to do that many winter morning to get water for us to drink, wash dishes, wash our clothes on Saturday, and to wash greens. But now, put it over here, Mike. Let them see what I'm looking at. Now, this is what the water looks like, the first washing. And you see, you don't see no dirt. And what I do, I put my hand in here, and I feel the bottom of it and see if I can feel any dirt. I feel just a little bit of sand, like not much. But I look and see if I see any bugs or anything black. Now, that looks good. That looks very good. But I will wash them again. I'm not going to eat them. I'll wash them again. But I just wanted y'all to see that part. But this is how I start my collards. Like I said, there are 4 things I do before I start cooking my collards. And that's when it takes a long time to cook collards. Because they got to wash. You got to look them. You got to wash them. Yeah, my stopper's about tore up. Like I told you, this one's about headed too. I'm trying to get the water out. But you got to look them. You got to wash them. But I'll be back and show you the next 2 things I do before we start cooking them. I'll be back, y'all.